Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. These are recorded live Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to catch the show live, we have a fairly standard show tonight. We have privacy, security, AI, business, and SillyVille, of course. So we have to dive right on in here. Of course, you can catch the show live, see the in-between stuff, the comments, participate with the crowd, all that kind of stuff. You can do that, but let's go ahead and get on into the news. First up, we have a new smart mask that analyzes your breath to monitor your health. This is researchers out of Caltech have created this device to help you analyze biomarkers in your blood, considering asthma and COPD. So, of course, it just looks like kind of like an N95 mask. So it'll clearly protect you from the coof as well. But it has the smart technology, which, of course, syncs into a smartphone app. And then the smartphone app can measure a number of different things. One of the things they actually found that this works really good at is it's a really good breathalyzer. So who knows, maybe in the future, some police officer might come over, and if they think you're drinking, force you to wear this mask, and it'll just tell you in their thing while you're just answering questions for them. It's just going to breathalyze you on the spot, right? But it is going to detect things like asthma, where they found that there were more nitrites in the breath, emitted in the breath of asthmatics. They found the alcohol content was easy to determine, because what's happening is there's a little refrigerant, like a little coolant there, kind of a little dehumidifier. As you breathe out, it condenses your breath, and then it's able to analyze it for a number of different things. And then, of course, the privacy element of this, of course, is this feeds back into a cell phone, which pings everything off of their servers in real time. So effectively wearing this mask, whether you're wearing this mask for your own personal or whatever other reason, whatever is going on here, all of this data that can be analyzed from your breath is being sent up to a central server and cataloged and analyzed and whatever else they're doing with it. And then this begs the question, who has access to that data? Is it fully HIPAA compliant? Because that's been a question about all of these types of things. Are you signing over any HIPAA rights by using such a device? Of course, they're just like, there's these Fitbit programs where you can wear the Fitbit and your doctor has access. Well, your daughter too, but your doctor has access to it. It starts becoming a little bit nebulous as we're starting to remotely share all of this personal health data with companies like Google that also own health insurance companies. I just really don't want any of this type of stuff going up into the air. I want to keep as much health data as I can. I mean, my watch does a pretty good job, and I can actually click over here and see what my average heart rate has been for the last 4 hours. I can see I've had a low of 56 and a high of 115. Of course, I did a nice walk. I can see my steps for the last 2 weeks and my basic activity for the day and, my activity for the week. I have a log of like the last 10 runs. This watch doesn't connect to any data, online networks. That's the type of stuff we need. The tech isn't bad. It's just when we throw it online is when it gets bad. All right, second up, this is the, is this Ecovacs, I think, is the name of it? Yeah, Ecovacs is this company. So this is one of the companies that has like the Roomba competitor. They have this little docking station here. The vacuum goes out and then it can dock and recharge. This is the company, though, that also has the lawnmowers. So they have the vacuums for inside and the lawnmowers for outside. Well, it turns out that on several different models, and they have the list here in the articles. Of course, you can grab all of our articles are on the link in the description to our website. That takes you to the news page with all of the articles that are in there. So you can get this model if you have one of these. So this one's literally called Spybot. Oh, God. My God. Ecovacs Spybot, Airbot 2Z1. Like, yes, I'm going to buy Spybot that perpetually connects to the internet and has cameras and microphones. These things have cameras and microphones. This guy here, he's a security researcher, Gleiss. He tells TechCrunch, quote, Their security was really, 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 really bad, end quote. Okay, so they have a perpetually on Bluetooth syncing, allowing anybody in close proximity to this to connect to it. This allows anyone within a 450-foot range to take control of the device via Bluetooth. Once you're into Bluetooth, you can remotely access the robot through the Wi-Fi connections, retrieve sensitive data like the Wi-Fi credentials for the house it's connected to. You can capture the saved room maps and even access the cameras and microphones. Why does this vacuum, like maybe a camera, why does this vacuum need a microphone? This thing, called the Spybot, has a camera and a microphone. You're putting this in your house, letting it meander through the whole place, and it has such poor security, somebody can hack it and gain access to the entire layout of your house from 450 feet away. This is insane, folks. So if you have Ecovacs, I would recommend taking it out to a field, taking a baseball bat, and playing Office Space with it. And go buy yourself some dumb vacuum that you have to do. I know you're going to have to spend 5 minutes vacuuming your house, but you might consider that, being as that your alternative is to have the Spybot with cameras and microphones taken over by a hacker who can now map your house from right outside. Yeah, folks, we are living in the age of smart tech, all right. Well, next let's have a look at some security news. And so looking at security, the first thing we wanted to have a look at is some Microsoft support ploys that might actually fool you. This is so good. It took 3 of us last night staring at this before I finally figured out what exactly is going on. This is good, folks. This is a good hack. Have a look at this. So this is the fake help desk page. Started with malvertising. So you do a search for Microsoft support. You get a fake Microsoft ad, which if you click the 3 dots, you'll see it's fake. So there's your classic malvertising. But where does it go to? Well, there is a service from Microsoft called Collections, which you can go on there and create kind of like a little website of yours with collections of favorite things, whatever else. Well, this takes you not to some random jeeber site, it takes you to a collections page. So it is a literal Microsoft service, a real Microsoft site, learn.microsoft.com. And then this is a collections account. So anybody with a Microsoft account can set one of these pages up. And what these guys did with their collection site is they created a fake Microsoft support line. So you do a search for Microsoft support, which is a real thing, believe it or not. Then you get a fake ad, which takes you to a real Microsoft site. So if you were to click the SSL, it'd be like secured by Microsoft even. And it's learn.microsoft.com and the collection for a fake Microsoft Office phone number. So this phone number is the scammers. Don't call that unless you really want to do some scam botting. And then over here is the Microsoft support. This goes down to a profile, which is fake. Of course, the advertiser is CMA Media Company, who was probably hacked, but you never know because they're out of Vietnam. And so this is what they say here. Learn is a collections is a feature available to anyone with a Microsoft Learn profile. Collections allows you to create curated lists of Microsoft Learn content to share with your followers. A collection can include documentation, articles, training modules, learning paths, videos, code samples, and more. And so these guys just used it to create a fake Microsoft support account. So here's the the fake profile there, so you can see what that is. Now, the second one is just a search query hijack, also a really good one. And so in this one, if you do a Google search and you add a parameter to it, you can actually get it to show you what looks like a legitimate thing. So you do the search for the Microsoft support, and this one they do the search for Microsoft Live Agent. They get a malicious ad, which says it's to learn.microsoft. This is going to, and then what this is doing is the ad actually is just rerunning a search term through Microsoft through their Explore feature, and then it will give you it'll basically tell you what is being searched for. So all the ad does a query search through the Microsoft.com domain. So it still literally goes to Microsoft.com, but in the URL that is being added here, which is right here, when you append this to the URL, it gives you a page that looks like this. So it's a legitimate Microsoft site with a number of different links, but then the very top thing is what was in the Explore thing, and they've just rewritten the Explorers where this is basically your search term. And so the search term, now they're basically just spoofing this to make it look like the fake number goes right up there, and it looks like it's legitimate. These are brilliant. So definitely pass these on. And as we were looking at this, Salbu said this channel here, Jim Browning, is a really good channel about scam baiting and how the scammers work. So I haven't not actually watched this channel. I've watched Scammer Payback is really good, which is linked over here on their channel. But this channel apparently is really good. This is a good channel to send to your parents or grandparents, to people who might be vulnerable to these things, to educate them on how these particular services are working. So Jim Browning is, I hear, really good. I have watched several episodes of Scammer Payback, which is also really good. So go ahead and have a look at those channels. And on to another one. This is Louis Rossman's been really popularizing the idea about piracy lately, for better or for worse, whatever you happen to think about it, which honestly, if, he has a very, very good point. If purchasing isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing. That's what he says. Now, I personally am not a pirater. I am not going to engage in such arts at all. What I do, of course, is I go out and I purchase DVDs, usually on the used market for $1 or so for any of the movies that I want. And I have a very substantial collection of DVDs. And then there is a question. Is it legal for us to format shift our DVDs, which is in legal limbo and probably needs to be addressed or clarified? Because as long as I'm not sharing those with anybody else or putting them in anywhere that is easy to hack or gain access to illegitimately, I don't personally see a problem, but it's a question needs to have. So I may or may not put those into some format. But you never know. I have portable DVD players here, and, I got some DVDs here I can watch. But we're seeing an increase in piracy, not just because of that, but because of the number of, every one of these services is getting bigger, and then you got to buy different services for the one show you want to see. They're constantly swapping around movies in between different things. And so there's just so much involved that's just frustrating the bejeebers out of people. So people are now going into piracy again. Whereas in reality, if they just made this more sane and let people buy copies of movies that's sane without relying on all these subscription services that tether us to them for life, because, we will own nothing and be happy. And only a couple years from now, I hear. So now what's going on is because there's an increase in piracy, we are now seeing an increase in malware linked to privacy. So this is the Peak Light downloader. So you're going in online and you're searching for your favorite movie. Well, you might actually have picked up a movie that's not really a movie. So you download the thing. Then I really wish this picture were bigger. Let me see it. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can. Yeah, even making it big, it's really hard to see. So the user searches for a movie. They download basically a zip file which alleges to have a movie in it. Really, this is just a Windows LNK file, so a malicious link file. So, of course, if you're on Linux, you're fine. But you click on this link file, and it executes a PowerShell command, which goes online to a domain, onto a CDN, and it will download the malware. it reaches out and executes a memory-only JavaScript dropper, which executes the Peak Light, which is a PowerShell-based downloader. So all this is kind of going on without you seeing it in the background. And then it reaches out to grab the payloads, and then the files are downloaded into your roaming folder. And then, of course, this is a spyware type system, which is going to sit on the back end. This is going to scrape all of your browser logins. So this is the type of malware that expose the Linus Tech Tips. It basically goes in and grabs everything out of your browser cache and your browser passwords and things like that. So that is something to be very aware of. If I were to download anything, I would run it through FFmpeg and examine the streams. You might even, before you open it in any form of player, you might run it through a transcoder. There's things you can do to make sure that you're not downloading or executing malware. Just be aware of that. And on to our last article here. Of course, WPS Office is much more popular in South Korea, but it is one of the sometimes talked about free Office suites available for Linux. This is designed to be a very good clone of Microsoft Office, very similar to OnlyOffice. Of these two, I would say OnlyOffice is the better option, although I think LibreOffice is ultimately mega superior to either of those. But WPS Office, the biggest problem with it is not free and open source. It is, and they're open about that. But it is free to use. So you can download it. It's free to use. It's proprietary. It has a EULA, but you can use it for free. Well, there are several malicious versions. Not like, okay, hold on. Correction. They're not malicious versions. They have security vulnerabilities allowing people to get into the back end of it and install malware through the back end. And so they have tried to address these. They addressed the one in March, which semi-patched it, but then it created another vulnerability. So this is app C60 exploitation. So effectively, somebody can send you a malicious spreadsheet, and if you're using WPS Office, then the malicious spreadsheet will go online and download a malicious payload. If your default for spreadsheets is Microsoft Office, you're safe. If it's LibreOffice, you're safe. If it's OnlyOffice, you're safe. But if it's WPS Office, you have just downloaded malware. Now, it is downloading a malicious DLL file, indicating that this is really only going to impact if you are on Windows, so switch to Linux, folks. But if you are running WPS Office, make sure that you have the correct version. So recommended to move to the latest release as soon as possible, or at least 12.2.0.17119. So that one is the first code, the first release that properly patched this software. So make sure if you are running WPS Office that you are on at least that version or later, 12.2.0.17119. So if you want to help support the channel, we do have affiliates today. We are highlighting A2 Hosting. If you need a good US-based website, I think they actually have servers in multiple different countries. But I've always called them on the phone. They pick up the phone pretty quick. They resolve problems pretty quick. And they have reasonable prices for web hosting these days, which are very good. Of course, your introductory rates for your basic shared is $2 a month. Your more, your WordPress, I would not buy it. Don't buy WordPress hosting, folks. Just get the shared and learn how to manage a WordPress website. VPS, and dedicated hostings, they have those available. But you can pick those up. Use my affiliate code TLM.li/A2H. That'll help support the channel and give you a really good web hosting. Of course, if you need somebody to build a website, reach out to me. That is what I do in my spare time, or it's supposed to be my regular time, but I think I make more on YouTube these days. I'm not sure anymore. I'll have to look at my books and analyze that. Who knows? But anyway, A2 Hosting, TLM.li/A2H. And with that, let's have a look over at our AI news next. So first up, your next college professor at this college could be ChatGPT. Yes, this is Arizona State University is making ChatGPT EDU as part of life on campus. So you go in and they're trying to tie everything into ChatGPT. I'm going to tell you, as a former college professor and one who is a professor, I was a student before online homework was a thing, and I was a college professor when online homework was starting to ramp up. I will tell you this, online homework and technology of this form in the classroom decimates education. If we start handing over education to ChatGPT and, hey, even mastering chemistry, we are going to have absolute doofuses coming out of our college. Trust me, I know. Okay, here's the problem with the online homework systems, and we'll address that before the ChatGPT. The thing that makes you learn these difficult subjects is to sit down and do it. Okay, when I took PChem, which is I believe it probably is the hardest single undergraduate class. There might be one or two out there harder, but it is known as the hardest. Day one, actually, no, it was inorganic chemistry that day one was the Hamiltonian operator. Okay, but this is the class that we had to self-teach ourselves math so high the math majors at our campus did not learn it. I had to get some help from a math professor at the college with some of my PChem work because we had to teach ourselves how to do triple integrals in radian vectors to calculate the possible position of the electron utilizing obviously Schrodinger's principle. We don't know exactly where it is, but where it's going, or we don't know, we know where it's going, but not where it is type of stuff. You need to do the triple integrals and radian vectors to figure out all that kind of stuff and actually perform the mathematical calculations to pass the class. It's insane. Okay. What I did, and when I was taking that class, is my Saturdays, it was very boring Saturdays, I would wake up early in the morning, I would grab something to eat, and then I would go and I would block out all of the lights in my room, turn on one desk lamp, and sit there for 8 hours and just solve PChem problems. It is the process of solving a problem that makes you learn it. Whether it's general chemistry or whether it's PChem, it is the process of solving the problems that is what makes you learn education. When you start introducing the online homework, so for example, when I was a professor and we used mastering chemistry just to test it, I'm trying to remember if we used it. I don't think we used anything in my first appointment, which was at Bucknell. We might have. I can't remember. Maybe we did. I think we did. I think we used mastering chemistry there as well. So to help out a lot of the thing, because it's a time-saving device for sure. But we used mastering chemistry to test it out. I am sad to say it was my call. I was in charge at the time. But when we did that and we used mastering chemistry, what we figured out and what I observed is that it is all about the answer, it is not about the process. Now, I mentioned that I had worked as a startup academic software company. Our company, which was purchased by Macmillan, since then, I was one of the first, 30 or so employees of the company when we were just expanding after it was first created by the founder. We were a little bit better in that our process walked you through the process. So it wasn't just, here's the answer. It walked you through a process, but even that wasn't superior to sitting down and solving the problem on paper. So when you start introducing something like a ChatGPT or other helps like this, you're losing a lot of the process that you learn. And I understand this myself even now as I just do study of Greek. I learn a lot more of it when I'm sitting down with paper and pen rather than when I'm using, the flashcard software. And so is it completely useless? No. But you must use it with an understanding that my serious desire is to fundamentally learn the material, not just pass my class. And that is unfortunately where many students are in the experience-driven, not education-driven academic world that we live in today. And so with ChatGPT, they're talking about the students using this to write better term papers, ChatGPT simulating patients for healthcare students. It recruits participants for research studies among hundreds of other roles. They're talking about helping facilitate, checking in on homework and things like this. These are things that when you start relying on these tools and putting it in like this, it's going to be really bad. And so this is an experiment going on at Arizona State University. I have an opinion that the university students are going to come out. They're going to come out maybe performing slightly better on tests, but if you were to actually test them on real knowledge, my guess is their real knowledge will be a lot worse. It's kind of like, they say, well, crime's going down. No, reports of crime are going down because you're not prosecuting criminals or arresting people, so they don't waste the time reporting it. Okay. Well, that's the same thing that we're going to see happening. People are going to come out with performing well until you actually line them up next to other people in their career path who did not utilize such technology, which is also why every one of these big tech CEOs sends their children to schools that don't use technology in the classroom. Something to think about. All right, this article was added in at the very last moment, and we'll be quick with it. Joomla's Facebook page was suspended. So, of course, Joomla is one of the 3 big open source CMS systems. Makes it easy to do a website. Well, why was their site suspended? Well, Meta suspended their site for reasons of impersonation. Obviously, this is a Joomla page. They've been a member of the, they've had the page for like 15 years or something like that. When they set up here, how many? The page has been active for over a decade, since December 2007. Yeah, that's coming up on 20 years, actually. That served as a vital hub for the community. 162,000 likes, 158,000 followers. They submitted an appeal to Meta, confident it was a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, despite our efforts, the appeal was denied and the page has been removed. So they reach out to the Meta Pro team. And they reported the initial action was taken by AI without human confirmation and without any notification. Facebook page has consistently adhered to Facebook's policies and guidelines since its creation. So the problem is it's flagged by AI and taken down. They appeal it, and it was immediately denied for appeal. Why? Because AI. Now they have an actual human on board, and they can't seem to override the AI in this situation. So something crazy is going on. So stay tuned for more information. You want to talk about why AI is bad for the world when you turn AI over this stuff. And that's, I think, the same thing going on with YouTube. It's like, channels will say they'll have like a 3-hour live stream and it gets flagged. They don't tell you where it's flagged. So you hit the appeal button, and within 20 seconds, it's denied. I know. I've experienced this. Don't tell me that you had a human reviewer review my 3-hour video in 3 seconds, okay? But that's what they do. It's all AI nonsense. All right. Moving on. Gmail users on Android can now chat with Gemini about their emails. So remember that Gemini is Google's version of AI that, of course, trains itself on data you give it. So now they have a super simple, easy connection to connect your Gmail into Gemini. So instead of, reading your emails, you can just be like, hey, Gemini, read me my email, or hey, Gemini, summarize the email. Okay, to quote an old comedian, right? I'm not sure what they have on them now, but back in that time, and I verified at the time, I think it's up to 5 seconds now, but there was microwave instructions on Pop-Tarts, and it said to put the Pop-Tart in the microwave for 2 seconds. I'm pretty sure right now it says put the Pop-Tart in the microwave for 5 seconds. In fact, I have a pack of Pop-Tarts over here. I'm going to see. Apple Jacks Pop-Tarts. Highly recommend them. Let's see if there's microwave instructions on these things. Okay, for microwave. Put on microwave safe plate. Heat 3 seconds at a time until it's warm enough. Okay. So this comedian, this is going back into the 90s. This comedian's like, the Pop-Tarts has microwave instructions. It says microwave for 2 seconds on high. 2 seconds. If you don't have 2 seconds, your day's too busy. Okay. If you have to get Gemini to read you your emails or to summarize your emails for you, you're too busy. You need to find something else to do with your life, okay? Calm it down a bit. And so there you go. Catch me up with emails about quarterly planning. So, of course, you're feeding all of your private emails into Gemini. So not only does this company know more about you, but you're training the AI on it as well. So, but, there you go. You can do that. Now, I believe you do have to pay money for that. So that's the good news. You actually have to intentionally want to do that. Not sure why you wouldn't want to intentionally do that. But anyway, it's an option. All right, so police officers are starting to use AI chatbots to write crime reports. All right, I have thoughts. Will they hold up in court? Here's what we do know. We do know that every place that ChatGPT and other AI tools have been used in courtrooms have thrown them out, fined lawyers, and basically said, don't do that again. So I find it interesting that courts have already determined how bad AI is, but police officers are praising this tool. So it begs a question, if an AI police report is used in a court of law, what is going to be the result? Now, on the positive, here's really the difference, is that the problems we saw with the ChatGPT being used inside of courtrooms is there were hallucinations. The things the lawyers will report are massive, huge documents. They're full of research. They're like research papers. Every time if you want to know why your lawyer gets paid so much, it's because every time you need to hire the lawyer, they're basically doing this massive lit review of all of the laws that might somehow relate to that kind of stuff. And so it was making stuff up. It was making up court things. And so in that case, I can see the distinction between that and what the police are doing. Because how this AI is working, and at least the primary one is done by Axiom, I think, who creates the body cameras and the tasers and things like that. Their AI is utilizing their body cameras, the microphones, and things like that to write the reports. So in theory, it's something that, at least on the surface, the report is based maybe not on the police officer's visual acuity, but at least on the camera's visual acuity. That carries with it a few positives in that the camera might pick up something that the police officer doesn't see, but it carries negatives in that it can't pick up anything that the camera doesn't see that the police officer does. If you watch the police body cam footages, and I watch a lot of them, they are wide angle lenses, but they will only catch a wide angle out in front of the police officer. He might turn his head over this way and see something that the camera can't pick up. So he has to have that in his report that the camera may not be able to see. But it does beg a question. Steve Lato just did a video on this today, and where his big issue is somebody has to sign off on this. And if you sign off on this, then are you signing off or is the robot signing off? Now, they have solved that by, of course, they named the thing first draft or one draft, I think they're calling it. What they're saying is that this artificial intelligence is only creating the first draft and that the police officer himself or herself has to be absolutely liable for whatever's in there. And so in this case here, in the one report they looked at, the report even included the color of the car, which the police officer didn't even notice because he was too busy trying to chase the car. And so there's positives for this, but there are negatives. Of course, they did have to find out the one dude who's like, oh my God, this is just empowering the police to beat up colored people more. Literally. So, that is, I'm not going to take the time to find in the article, but it's down here. Maybe I can find it really, really quick, but they just had to interview that one guy. So the point is that this does carry with it some possibilities for positive, but it is going to have to be tested and really thoroughly analyzed to see how valid of a case it actually is. That's a thought. And so there are definitely some questions about that. So let me know your thoughts about those in the comments, and let's move on over to the business news next. First up in business news, Samsung TVs will get 7 years of updates starting with the 2023 models. So I personally want nothing to do with a smart TV at all. However, for the people that want a smart TV or are forced to have a smart TV, a Samsung TV might be a good one to look at because 7 years of updates. Now, of course, as we were talking last night about these articles, my mother still has the TV that we bought before I went to college. And it works perfectly fine. In fact, I think she still has the TV that she bought me for Christmas when I was in 7th grade, and it still works just fine. So, I mean, this crazy idea that wow, this TV is going to last 7 years, and I got to drop another several $100s for another one is a bunch of nonsense, in all honesty. Hopefully, we have a resurgence of dumb TVs again. That would be awesome. But if you are looking for a smart TV, the Samsungs have 7 years of updates. So I guess the major point of the story is, even if it's not Samsung, check the brands to see how long are they supporting it. Because what will happen is the apps on the TVs go out of date. So suppose you're using a Roku account, so you use the Roku app. Well, if the Roku app goes out of date, it might not work, forcing you, instead of buying another new little Roku box, buying a whole new Roku TV instead, which is utterly stupid and ridiculous. And this is why we need to push away from all this stuff and at least have the option to buy a couple dumb TVs if that's the thing that we want. But that being said, Samsung is committing to at least 7-year updates on all their TVs, starting with the 2023 models. So definitely consider that if you are looking at it. I'm not sure why we went with Ars Technica for every article in business. Hey, just how the thing went. Yet another thing, I haven't seen Louis Rossman talk about this one yet. Maybe he will. So this is a $160 Echo device that's going to brick its primary feature after only 1 year of being on sale. So this is the Echo Show. So they have the Echo Show 8 and the Echo Show 8 Photos Edition. The Photos Edition cost $10 more for the hardware and required a $2 monthly subscription, and it would play photos on your screen when it wasn't being used. Now, here is the idiocy of this. Of course, you have to pay a $2 monthly fee. This is something so simple, like digital photo frames became popular like 20 years ago. You plug in a USB drive, you might transfer files to it, or you just keep the little drive plugged in the back, maybe a little SD card or something, and then it'll just play this constant stream of photos. Well, this device, when it's not being used, would show ads. If you buy the photo edition, so you pay $10 more for it, and then pay a $2 a month monthly subscription, it will show photos instead of playing ads. But mind you, people paid more money for it, and then they've dropped this subscription to it. Well, after only being on the market for 1 year, your Echo Show 8 Photos Edition will just become a basic Echo Show 8. The Photo Edition will leave, and like all of the other ones, your Echo Show 8 will start showing you ads and promotions starting, I think, in September. September is when, let's see, it'll stop supporting Photo Plus as of September 23rd. So in roughly 25 or so days from the time I'm recording this, your Echo Show Photo 8s are now going to just show you ads instead. But hey, you'll save $2 a month, but you will have paid $10 more. But since we're talking about Amazon Echo, I have to say, hey Alexa, order unicorn meat, confirm. It's a pure obligation. We have to. So there you go. One more item going out the window. Of course, Amazon's selling all sorts of this crappy hardware that's just doing nothing but pushing ads. But still, hey, on my Kindle, I've still never seen an ad. Never connect that thing to the internet once, and it will never show me an ad. Although somebody did comment in my video, I had a video about that a couple years ago. Somebody did leave me a comment saying that they have worked around that bug. Apparently, Amazon saw my video and said, "We got to patch this thing." So anyway, well, yet another stupid subscription fee. And just like our article, I think last week, where the Peloton was charging $95 if you buy a used device, this is a $1,700 baby crib that has a monthly subscription where they give you 9 months of a free monthly subscription when you buy it new, but if you buy it used, you have to pay $20 a month for all of the features why you would buy this piece of garbage. So it is a smart thing. So it rocks your baby and has comforting noises and does all sorts of neat, cutesy little things. And then it monitors all your baby stuff. So all of your baby's health data is going up onto their servers, which are very insecure, I promise you, because the company is apparently in this for the money, not for anything else. This is from Snoo Life, and this is the smart, is it pronounced this bassinet? And if you go online to their store, and this thing is priced at $1,700, but hey, when I went onto the store the other day, this thing's on sale for like $1,300. You can buy a $1,300 basket to sleep your baby in, connect it to the company servers in your smartphone, and then it'll even analyze your baby diaper changes. And I really hope this thing's not embedded with cameras. Yikes. All right. But they will charge you a $20 a month subscription. Now, they will waive the $20 a month subscription fee to use the services for the first 9 months after you buy it. So if you buy one of them and you have 5 kids and you keep on using this thing, then you'll have to pay the $20 a month subscription for each kid. Now, in theory, you only really have your kid in this for a few months. Maybe they suggest up to 9 months, or I guess, or so. So really, if you buy the $1,700 device, maybe even on sale for like $1,300, and you're getting all the smart features, which I wouldn't want on my device or in their cloud, but at least I'm not paying the $20 a month subscription fee. But if you go out and you buy one of these used because somebody's had the maximum allotment of babies that they can sanely tolerate, and they decide, hey, I'm going to sell this device off and let's sell it for like $500, well, you're going to have to pay that $20 a month subscription. Now, is this really horrible or not? The big problem we saw with this is they're cutting out people who otherwise would have had the free access to it. So originally, if you bought it, you had free access to the app for life. Basically, the app was free to use. All of those features in the app, which is the only reason you would buy this stupid piece of nonsense, that's what they put the subscription fee on. So all of the cute little monitoring and all of the cute little controls, all the cute little lights, all those things, like there's no control panel button that you can push to say rock the baby. You got to do it all through the app. So in order to do any of that kind of stuff, in order to make this into anything more than a $1,700 basket, you have to have the app. The app used to be free to use. Now it's $20 a month for everybody. But if you buy it now, you'll get 9 months for free. Now, they're saying that there's a cutoff now. There are people who bought this like 4 months ago who will have to start paying before that because they didn't get that 9-month fee. So they're going to have to pay $20 a month. So this is just more subscription services going completely out of control. We need to put an end to this nonsense. It is so silly. It has catapulted us into SillyVille. First article is not tech related, but I was in high school when the juice was set loose. And so we got to talk about O.J. Simpson because his body is being turned into cremation jewelry. Now, he apparently was super bankrupt. The estate owes millions of dollars in back taxes and tax liens. And so we don't know what in the world is going to go on with this jewelry, but apparently his kids are getting jewelry that's cost about $4,000. So there you have it, guys. The juice is still among us, and it will be among us in jewelry forevermore, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, on to our tech-related silly news. I just had to cover that one. There is a robot that picks berries, and it is called Robocrop. That's right, guys. Now, there's a boring name for this robot here, but I think Robocrop is definitely the name. We got Flippy flips the burgers. Actually, I think Flippy flips the fries, doesn't it? I think Flippy flips the fries. We got one for the burgers. This one is Robocrop, though. dead or alive, you're coming with me. Actually, ripe or not, you're coming with me. And that's the problem they were having, is that, you'd get the workers in the field, they go in and they would know what's ripe and what's not. They'd pick better group of berries. So these guys experimented with Robocrop here. They unleashed the thing on, but the Robocrop could not really tell which berries were ripe and which ones were not. So Robocrop was harvesting unripe berries, and that was causing a problem because, you can't sell the unripe berries. They won't ripen if they're not to a certain point when they're pulled off. So it damages future crop, basically results in a lower yield than, bringing on your worker who is going to come in there and pick the farm. So they have made some improvements. So now it knows what is a ripe berry and it will crop the ripe berry. So they're testing this out in a couple different places. They're testing, I think the next big testing is going to be down in Australia. So they're is employed in farms in the UK, Australia, and Portugal over the next 12 months. It's called Field Worker 1, but I think Robocrop is definitely a better name. So there you have it, guys. Robocrop is coming to stop unripe berries in a field near you. Report: Sony set to lose tens of millions of dollars at a minimum on a shooter game that lets you pay as super diverse characters with personal pronouns. So Concord is this game, and it is set to lose Sony nearly $200 million. It is a giant DEI failure. So it's been going to be the Sony's Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League level of a failure. So this game is effectively a AAA title. They spent, between $50 and $200 million on the development of game, which inquired the acquisition of Firewalk. And this was supposed to be the game that your children's children would be talking about, but it flopped, failing to even reach 1,000 concurrent players within days of its release this month, what might be a new record of failure. In fact, that number has dropped to an almost unheard of number for a game with this size of a budget. So data from the tracking website SteamDB reveals Concord, which debuted August 20th, through the $60 digital deluxe edition or on August 23rd through the $40 standard edition, had a peak player count of 697 on August 23rd. Helldivers, another live service game from Sony, which launched in February, had a peak concurrent count of 155,926 during its opening weekend, final sitting 242,000. And even Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, which was dubbed a disappointment by Warner Brothers and caused $200 million hit in revenue, debuted at 12,000 peak concurrent viewers on Steam. Concord hit 5% of that number. The game raised a lot of eyebrows when people noticed how almost every playable character is a diverse girl boss or gay-looking dude. So here is them, and here is all of the dudes. Okay, we're going to turn that off in case that's copyrighted music. But that one looks reasonable. I mean, look at this. These guys they're crazy. And I will draw your attention. You can't see it, but right up here is the character's pronouns. Yes, we have pronouns. This one's a she, her. I can sort of see these. What is this? Oh, this is undecided pronouns. She, her pronouns. He, him pronouns. He, him pronouns. This is a they, them. She, her. She, her. He, him. I don't know. Anyway, we'll stop there. But yes, they do have pronouns on their characters. They're all like this. And curiously, nobody wanted to play this game. Now, of course, it also didn't look particularly good. So they compared this to Game Science's Wukong. So which game character design do you prefer? So Wukong versus Concord. Wukong Concord. Here's the breakdowns. Concord is 8 years to develop, $100+ million budget spent, less than 700 copies sold, and everybody hates it. Wukong took 4 years to build, made by 30 people. They were all childhood friends or met in university. 15 million copies sold, and they made $700 million in revenue and loved by most people, or Masat people, as their typo suggests. So, yeah, in this one you play as a monkey god fighting against evil celestial forces. I don't know. Between the two, I'd probably rather play that one. But of course, like everything that completely fails because nobody wants to be preached at or be told that you must participate in the current DEI, Grummies, let's see, here's, so Cyrus, combine that with a dev team who doesn't care if talentless freaks doesn't like the game. So Concord devs are responding to their game flopping by attacking their audience as talentless freaks. I swear, did they all read the same awful marketing book from the DEI recommended list? I don't know. So there you have it, guys. Yeah. Well, Facebook scammers are getting in on funeral live stream scams. So they're basically going through obituaries in regions, finding people who have died and scraping their photographs and creating fake websites promoting a live stream that you click onto the live stream, and then you can, of course, donate through the link, the convenient link on their live stream. Of course, when you land there, it's just a phishing website and or a little streaming site, so you got to sign up for it. If you don't have an account, you got to get one. And then, of course, there's places where you can donate to. It's all scams, all fraudulent. They're basically just scraping the obituaries of, online obituaries and setting up localized websites on Facebook. Yeah, the Zuck definitely needs arrested by French authorities for that. And on to our last one here. U.S. military's latest PsyOp is advertising on Tinder. So U.S. military is using ads to warn people across Lebanon not to attack the United States or its allies among rising tensions across the Middle East. Some of those ads have turned up on Tinder. So freelance reporter Seamus Mikhalinsky, posted on X screenshots of the ads in the Tinder app warning residents of Lebanon not to take up arms. The ads written in Arabic say that the U.S. will protect its partners in the face of threats from the Iranian regime and its proxies. I think that kind of depends on who wins the election, though. I'm not sure. I don't know who the allies are right now. Anyway, which operates across the region, referring to the groups like Hezbollah located in Lebanon. The ads, which are not clandestine in nature, display the logo of the U.S. Central Command and a link to a tweet featuring F-16 and A-10 fighters. All right, so military psyops aimed at influencing the views of the target audience is not new. Even if their placement on a dating app raises eyebrows, the military community, the Washington Post reported on Tuesday, Pentagon ordered a new review of psyops at that time, includes setting up fake accounts on social media. Tinder did take the ads down because they said that the ads are not related, which are related to violence, safety, and advocacy. So they promptly removed the ads by the U.S. government. Great. So there you have it, guys. Our U.S. military is faltering, and we're just like, we got to get more guys. We got to get more girls. We got to get more girls into the military. Meanwhile, we're spending our entirety of our budget promoting PsyOp ads on Tinder in the other end of the world. Oh boy, I can't wait to see Rand Paul's military or government waste spend this year. Maybe we'll spend another $100,000 to see if Thanos can snap his gloves and what happens when you put frogs on cocaine. Anyway, if you want to help support the channel after all this nonsense, if you stuck along this well, you might want to. I don't know. You can find us over there on Patreon. Patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there. That'll help support all of the different channels. With that, thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.